I wanted to get into local politics a little bit because we put so much on the national election of the presidential election. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that it's so important to know who you, from a criminal justice background, how important it is to vote for your sheriff, for the chief of police, for the school board, superintendent,
Totally.
because all of this stuff. Go ahead.
No, that you're laying it out. Superintendent, school board, district attorney. There's that important local prosecutor role. The people that are deciding whether or not you're going to get a felony charge or a misdemeanor charge, or you're eligible for probation or you're not. Those are often elected officials. The judges often elected at the local level. So you need to vote in the local elections. There's that part. But I'm gonna go further, and I've been talking about it, and it's not sexy. But until we get it, I'm gonna know we're not serious about really having political power in this country, Ida. And that is putting our money into politics. Okay, our counterparts, white people, they put money into politics, often in the form of unions. That's a massive way a lot of them do it. And then there's a lot of other PAC organizations that do the same thing. So when you want to know why Planned Parenthood never wonders if they're going to get their billions of dollars from the government, the NRA never is worried about getting their money from the government. Israel, they ain't never worried about getting their money from the government. It is because their constituencies, the people whose interests those that are there, put money into the candidates at the entry point. So it's not just showing up to vote. That's the cherry on the cake. That's the icing on the sun, the icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae. We as Black people need to really start, and there's the collective PAC if you're interested. And there's other Black PACs out there pooling our money, our resources, and funding candidates from the ground up. Because when we make you, we pretty much own you, and we can tell you what we need your policies to look like that implement and empower our interests. That's really how politics are played.
Yeah, and if you look at the independent progressives that have been entering and winning, when you think about the AOCs and the Cori Bushes and
Jamal Bowen right here in New York.
Yes, in New York, those are a big win for the people because they are operating with progressive policies in mind. And even though, a lot of liberal white people have, participated in this progressive movement, they don't realize that progressivism is built on the backs of Black people because we are the ones who have been in demand of progress in this country, and that it is something that directly affects us. I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things that we can demand of this Democratic Party prior to November that are realistic for us in terms of to alleviate the angst that some people have that once they get in office, that they are going to abandon Black people in this country?
Yep, we unpacked that tonight's episode too. What is the Black policy agenda, right? We Ice Cube and T.I. and Puff, a lot of people have been saying, what's in it for Black people? If it ain't for Black folks, we ain't. I get it. I like it. But I think we got it backwards if we're waiting on them, whether it's Joe Biden or for that matter, even Kamala Harris or any of these candidates, to tell us what we need politically. That's backwards, Ida. That was never done historically. Martin Luther King Jr. and the rest of the civil rights leaders didn't sit around and wait for LBJ to tell, Dr. King, this is what I drew up for you and the Blacks. Nah, he went in, Dr. King and company went in with their agenda. Lyndon, we want voting rights. We want civil rights. We want an end to discrimination as it relates to employment and housing. They went in with a created Black agenda, and that's how it was implemented and eventually passed. It's time for us to do the same thing. Those terms, I would say, of that negotiation are up. They've been up, and that's why the country looks the way it looks. So now it's time to renegotiate. So I asked all my guests tonight, Ida, if we only got 3 things, because I think that's one place that we're struggling. We're trying to do too much at the same time. A lot. When you look at people that are politically effective, it's very narrow. Their singular issue, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most. So what are the 3 things that Black America wants to ask for policy-wise? And the consensus was education, economic empowerment by way of home ownership and a few other specifics, and reforming criminal justice specifically as it relates to use of deadly force and ending qualified immunity. There's a few others that are out there, but those got the highest number of votes.
There are so many things that I've learned in the last couple of months that I did not know. For example, that in some jurisdictions the sheriff can double as coroner or medical examiner, um, which is can rule for cause of deaths, and that can be problematic. Like in a case like Sandra Bland, who was ruled a suicide, and we didn't get a chance or the benefit of a real investigation. One of the
Yeah, that small town justice is often no justice at all. And I just want people to keep your eyes open to that. Seriously, that's a very important point you're making, Ida.